In the heart of a city known for its culture and beauty, an institution was born that would change the art world forever. What led to the creation of this cultural icon? You'll find out as we explore 5 events that happened today in history. In 1793, the Louvre Museum opens in Paris. It is housed in a former palace that for years served as the seat of the French monarchy. More than 200 years before it becomes a museum, King Francis I began building the palace on the site of an old fortress called the Louvre. The origin of the name Louvre is disputed. The 2 most prevalent theories are that it either derives from the word wolf or the word tower. Francis I was a great art collector and filled his royal residence with priceless works of art. Subsequent kings expanded both the palace and its art collection. In 1682, King Louis XIV moved the French court from the Louvre to the Palace of Versailles, just outside of Paris, and the Louvre ceased to be the main royal residence. In the 18th century, Enlightenment thinkers began calling for the royal art collections to be put on public display. Denis Diderot, the man behind the encyclopedia, was one who pushed for the creation of a national art museum. I have a great video about Diderot and the encyclopedia. I'll put a link in the description. Responding to public pressure, King Louis XV temporarily put a collection of paintings on display at the Luxembourg Palace in Paris in 1750. The breakout of the French Revolution in 1789 pushed the process forward. The monarchy was abolished, and King Louis XVI was executed by guillotine in 1792. The Louvre Museum opens the following year. It is fascinating to realize that this world-famous museum opens in the midst of a tumultuous revolution, just 4 weeks before the infamous Reign of Terror began. I have a great video about Robespierre and the Reign of Terror. I'll put a link in the description. The Louvre Museum's collection grows rapidly, aided by art and artifacts seized during the Napoleonic Wars. 2 wings are added in the 19th century. A major remodel is undertaken in the 1980s and 90s, including the addition of the at one time controversial steel and glass pyramid-shaped entrance, which is designed by renowned Chinese-born architect I.M. Pei. The Louvre is now the largest art museum in the world, housing masterpieces like the Venus de Milo, the Nike of Samothrace, Eugene Delacroix's Liberty Leading the People, Jacques-Louis David's The Oath of the Horatii, and of course, Leonardo da Vinci's Mona Lisa. In 1270, Yakuno Amlak takes the imperial throne of Ethiopia, toppling the Zagwe dynasty and establishing the Solomonic dynasty. The dynasty's name comes from a claim that the rulers descend from the biblical king Solomon, although there is no credible evidence to support the assertion. The Solomonic dynasty remains in power for more than 700 years, until the overthrow of Emperor Haile Selassie in 1974. Haile Selassie gains worldwide attention in 1936 for his famous speech before the League of Nations, the forerunner of the UN, where he pleads for assistance as his nation is being overrun by Benito Mussolini's Italian forces. His speech uses these ominous words: "God and history will remember your judgment. It is us today, it will be you tomorrow." Of course, the League of Nations fails to heed the warning, and World War II begins 3 years later. In 1628, the Swedish warship Vasa sinks in Stockholm Harbor about 1,400 yards into her maiden voyage. The ship is rediscovered by Swedish archaeologist Anders Fransson in 1956. It is salvaged largely intact, restored, and placed in a museum that attracts 1.5 million visitors each year. Mrs. Lewis and I visited Stockholm in 2022, and we made sure to see the Vasa. It was impressive, a definite must-see. In 1937, the first ever electric guitar patent is awarded to the Electro String Corporation. It is the brainchild of George Beauchamp, who, along with partner Adolf Rickenbacker, hopes to capitalize on the growing popularity of the acoustic guitar, an instrument that's greatest weakness is that it is too quiet to fit well into an ensemble. Beauchamp's invention gives the guitar what it lacks: volume. He could never have foreseen, however, how the instrument would go on to revolutionize the music industry. In 1969, American Apollo 11 astronauts complete a 21-day quarantine, meant to reduce the risk of contaminating Earth with potential extraterrestrial organisms after their successful mission to the Moon. The first few days of isolation were in a converted Airstream trailer that was then flown to Houston, where the crew spent the rest of the quarantine period in a specially designed laboratory. The astronauts were isolated from the public and their families. They underwent a mix of routine medical exams and scientific observations. The intense media coverage of the quarantine reflects both the excitement of their monumental achievement and the seriousness of the precautionary steps taken to safeguard humanity. Which of these events did you find most interesting? Let me know in the comments. Also, don't forget to check out Today in History in my Teachers Pay Teachers store. There's a link in the description. I would also love it if you would like this video and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. And you can see more great Mr. Lewis videos right over here. Thanks for watching.